A bizarre Airbnb experience turned life lesson. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. Then I heard my lock turn, slowly, from the outside. I froze with my phone in one hand and my work laptop in the other, like that would somehow keep either of them safe. It was 2:13 a.m. According to the neon numbers on the microwave I didn't remember seeing in the listing photos. The unit smelled faintly like lemon cleaner and old cigarettes covered by lemon cleaner. A shadow slid under the doorframe. Someone breathed on the other side, close enough that the peephole fogged when I leaned toward it. Through the warped glass, I saw only a stretched slice of hallway carpet and the bottom of someone's shoe, angled like they were listening. "Camille," I whispered, like an idiot. My Airbnb host had been all emojis and exclamation points in the app. "Welcome basket. Local tips. Text me anytime. I'm basically your concierge." But right now, the only sound was the soft scrape of metal inside metal, like a key being tested. The handle twitched once, twice, as if someone was deciding whether to commit. I backed up until my calves hit the edge of the bed. The queen bed was more like a full, shoved against a wall with a headboard that wobbled. My suitcase was still half open because I'd been too tired to unpack after the flight. Burnout does that, turns basic tasks into mountains. I'd booked this place for a work reset. 2 nights in Austin to finish a project proposal without my apartment's constant noise and without my boss just checking in. I'd paid $1,487. 62 all in because the listing said no refunds after 24 hours. My company would reimburse, but only if I had itemized receipts and no issues. The phrase "no issues" had never sounded more threatening than it did at 2:13 a.m. while someone tried to come in. I tapped Priya's name and hit call. It went straight to voicemail. Of course it did. I told her I'd be asleep by midnight. The lock clicked. "Not open, just tested." Then it stopped. On the other side, someone spoke softly, like they were on a call. "Yeah, he's inside." My stomach dropped as my phone buzzed with a new Airbnb message notification. It wasn't from Priya, it was Camille. "Jordan, why are you awake?" 2 weeks earlier, I was eating almonds in my office stairwell and refreshing Airbnb with one thumb, my email with the other. My manager had sent quick tweak at 9:48 p.m. for the 3rd night in a row. I hadn't slept through the night in months. I kept waking up convinced I'd missed a deadline. So when I saw Camille's listing, Sunny Studio, East Side, walk to coffee plus nightlife, it felt like a life raft. The photos were aggressively calming. White walls, a fiddle leaf fig, a bed with a chunky knit throw. In one shot, a little tray held a handwritten note. "Welcome, friend." It looked staged, but in a cozy way. The reviews sealed it. Felt safer than a hotel. Perfect for remote work. Camille is a GM. I screen capped them like evidence for my own anxiety. Superhost. 4, 92 stars. The only thing that hurt was the cancellation policy. Non-refundable. I hovered over reserve. Camille messaged within 5 minutes. "Hi Jordan. So excited to host you. Quick heads up. I'm strict about house rules to protect my space." I replied, "Totally fine, because tired people will agree to anything if it means rest." Then came the responsible stuff. She asked for my arrival time to coordinate building security. She asked for my phone number in case the app glitches. She requested a photo of my ID for verification, even though Airbnb already had me verified. When I didn't respond for an hour, she followed up. "Just checking. I'm very on top of things." Priya texted, "Your host has helicopter mom energy." I typed back, "Probably just organized. I need quiet. Let me have this." The day before check-in, Camille sent a long message with bullet points, all caps, and bolded words like she was drafting a lease. "No unregistered guests. No tampering with smart devices. Please don't mention Airbnb to neighbors. Building policy. If you need anything, message me immediately so I can document it." That last line, "document it," should have made my skin prickle. Instead, I felt relieved, like she'd handle problems if they happened. I booked anyway, and right after the payment cleared, she added, "Also, I might stop by briefly if maintenance needs access." I reread that sentence until it stopped feeling normal. I landed in Austin on a Thursday afternoon and took a rideshare from the airport with my suitcase jammed between my knees. The driver dropped me off on a street that couldn't decide what it was. trendy coffee shop on one corner, chain-link fence, and a silent laundromat on the other. The listing photos had made it look like a cute standalone guest house. In real life, it was a beige apartment building with a "No trespassing" sign zip-tied to the gate. Camille's check-in instructions were intensely specific. Enter the pedestrian gate using code 1948. Do not let anyone follow you in. Third floor, Unit 3F. If the keypad is slow, wait and try again. The gate code worked. The stairwell smelled like wet dog and air freshener. At 4:32 p.m., I stood at Unit 3F and typed the code Camille had sent. The lock beeped and the deadbolt clicked. The first mismatch hit me immediately. The sunny studio was dim, lit by one lamp with a yellow bulb. The white walls were actually tired beige with scuff marks hidden behind carefully placed art. The fiddle leaf fig in the photos was gone. In its place was a dusty fake plant that leaned like it wanted to quit. The air smelled like lemon cleaner, under something older. I started rationalizing because that's what I do when I'm tired. Maybe the photos were from before. Maybe she redecorated. Maybe I'm just jumpy. On the counter was the promised basket. 2 mini granola bars, a tiny bottle of water, and a laminated card that said please read house manual before touching anything. The font was elegant, like a wedding invitation, which somehow made it worse. I walked the space slowly, making notes like I was doing an inspection. The windows had blinds, but one blind was missing 2 slats. The bathroom door didn't latch unless you lifted it. The smoke detector had a dark ring around it, like it had been removed and put back. Then I noticed the closet door. It had a small metal hasp on the outside, like you could lock it shut. On the hasp was a bright sticker, owner access only. My phone buzzed with Camille's message. Hi, just confirming you arrived alone. My fingers hovered over the reply, because suddenly I wasn't sure. The house manual wasn't a cute binder on the table. It was a laminated packet clipped to the fridge with a Texas magnet. 12 pages. Color-coded tabs. The first page was basically, Hi friend, I'm Camille. I keep this space pristine. Respect that this is a home, not a hotel. Normal, until it wasn't. Page 2. Do not unplug or cover any smart devices. Under that, in smaller text, this includes the Wi-Fi router, the air quality sensor, the smart TV, and the humidity monitor. I stared at the list because I hadn't seen an air quality sensor or a humidity monitor. The Wi-Fi router wasn't on a shelf like in the photo. It was inside a white decorative box mounted high on the wall, with little slits like vents. Page 4 had a section titled Neighbor Relations. Do not speak to neighbors about the rental. If approached, say you are a friend visiting. So lie. Page 6. Curtains/blinds must remain open between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. to prevent mold. That made no sense, but I still felt like I'd already broken something. Page 9. Maintenance window. It said the building occasionally required filter access, and Camille might enter briefly if needed. Then a line that made my throat go dry. Because the unit is part of an ongoing insurance compliance file, documentation is mandatory. I checked the app. The listing had never said anything about an insurance file. At 5:11 p.m., Camille messaged, Hope you're settling in. Can you send me a quick photo of the living area? I like to confirm everything is as pictured. I typed, why, then deleted it. I typed, sure, then deleted that too. I settled on, everything looks fine. A minute later, great. Also please confirm the blinds are up during the day. Helps a ton. I hated how quickly my body obeyed. I walked over and lifted the blinds. Across the street, in the opposite building, someone stood in a window watching. They raised their phone like they were taking a picture. I told myself the person across the street was just on a call, holding their phone up the way people do. Still, I lowered the blind a notch, then remembered Camille's rule and raised it again like I was training a dog. At 6:02 p.m., I went to the coffee shop on the corner, my planned safe zone, and ordered an iced Americano just to have somewhere public with Wi-Fi and outlets. I answered 2 work emails, then tried to breathe like a normal human. When I got back at 7:11 p.m., something in the studio felt disturbed. Not obviously, just the way you notice a room after someone else has been in it. The air was colder. The lemon cleaner smell was stronger, like it had been freshly sprayed. The throw blanket that I'd tossed on the chair was folded into a neat rectangle. I stood there with my keys in my hand, waiting for my brain to catch up. I checked the smart lock history in the app. There wasn't one. The lock was managed by host. No log. No timestamps. Just a keypad. I texted Camille, keeping it light because that's what anxiety makes you do. Me, hey. Quick question, did anyone stop by? Blanket was folded when I got back. She replied in under a minute. Camille. Nope. No one has access but me. Maybe housekeeping didn't finish earlier? Housekeeping. Earlier. The listing said self-check-in, no contact. I took a photo of the folded blanket with my phone in frame so it'd show the time. 7:14 p.m. I snapped the thermostat too. It was set to 68. I hadn't touched it. I told myself I was being dramatic. People fold blankets. Thermostats change. This is why I needed a reset. My brain was glitching. Then, as I unpacked my charger, I heard a faint electronic chirp near the ceiling, like a tiny beep. Once, then again. It wasn't the smoke detector. It sounded newer. I stared up at the white, decorative router box with the vent slits. One slit looked darker than the others, like something inside was angled differently. My phone buzzed again. Camille, how's the noise level? Any complaints from neighbors? My thumbs went cold because I hadn't mentioned noise at all. By 9:30 p.m., I tried to work but kept hearing that faint chirp every 20 minutes, like a metronome. I put on white noise, then hated myself for needing it in a place I'd paid almost $1,500 to be peaceful. At 10:07 p.m., someone knocked. Not a polite tap-tap. 3 hard raps like they owned the door. I didn't answer. I stood back, holding my phone like it was pepper spray. Another knock, then a man's voice through the door. Maintenance. My pulse jumped. I hadn't gotten any notice. No message. I cracked the door on the chain latch, just enough to see a guy in a gray polo with no name tag. He looked past me into the studio like he was counting objects. Can I help you? I asked. Filter check, he said too fast. Just need 2 minutes. I didn't get a heads up. He shifted. Your host said it's fine. I closed the door. My hand shook on the deadbolt. I took a screenshot of her message. Immediately, my phone buzzed. Camille, hey. Maintenance needs quick access. Please open the door. Me. I wasn't notified. Can we schedule for tomorrow? Camille. It's required. It's part of the building. Please don't make this difficult. Don't make this difficult. Like I was inconveniencing her by wanting to feel safe. I called Priya. She answered on the second ring, voice thick with sleep. Jordan, are you okay? I paced, whispering. Someone's outside saying maintenance. Camille says I have to let him in. Priya snapped awake. Did you look through the peephole? No peephole. There's a camera in the hallway. Okay, don't open. Tell her you'll do it when Airbnb support is on the line. I think I'm overreacting. You're not, Priya said. What's the exact rule about smart devices? I flipped the manual, hands sweaty. It says don't unplug or cover any smart devices. Priya went quiet. Then, Jordan, why would a host care if you cover something? I looked up at the router box as it chirped again. I waited until the hallway went silent. No more maintenance voice. No footsteps. Just my own breathing and the low hum of the AC. Priya stayed on the line. Don't do anything heroic, she warned. Just look. Document. I set my phone to record video and propped it against a mug so the camera faced the wall. Then I dragged the wobbly chair under the router box and climbed up like I was changing a light bulb. The box was mounted higher than it needed to be, almost at ceiling height, so you'd never casually inspect it. Up close, the decorative cover looked cheaper. Plastic, not wood. The vent slits weren't evenly cut. One slit had a tiny circle behind it that didn't match the others. Okay, I whispered, trying to sound calm for Priya. I'm just looking. The box wasn't screwed in. It was attached with 2 strips of industrial Velcro. I felt that in my stomach first, an instinctive, primal, why is it removable so fast? Then in my hands as I gently tugged. The cover popped off with a soft rip. Inside wasn't a router. Or, technically, there was a router, tucked to the side, but the center held a small black camera on a swivel mount, the kind you see in baby monitor ads. A tiny lens faced directly toward the bed and the chair. A blue light blinked once, then went dark like it had noticed me noticing it. My mouth went dry. I couldn't make sound for a second. Priya heard my silence and went sharp. Jordan, talk to me. There's a camera, I managed. Pointed at the bed. Do not touch it, Priya said immediately. Show the video. Get the brand. Get the serial number if you can. I zoomed in with my phone. The label was clear enough to read, WYZ Cam V3. Under it, a printed ID number. I narrated out loud like I was making a police report because my brain needed a script. Date, Thursday. Time, 10:26 p.m. Found camera inside wall box above TV. I took still photos, the box removed, the lens angle, the label. I screenshot the Wi-Fi list on my phone too. Along with Camille Studio Guest, there was a network called Camille 3FCM. My hands were shaking so hard the video wobbled. Camille knew what I'd done, and she was watching in real time. I didn't reply to Camille. I didn't know how to respond to stop touching the box when the box contained a camera aimed at my bed. Priya's voice was steady now, the way it gets when she's scared and refusing to show it. Screenshot everything. Save the video somewhere off your phone. Email it to yourself. I airdropped nothing. I didn't trust the Wi-Fi. I switched to cellular and emailed myself the photos and the clip with a subject line that felt insane to type. Airbnb camera evidence. Then I opened the Airbnb app and started a support chat. The bot offered me local recommendations and how to reset a keypad. I typed, host has hidden camera pointed at bed. I typed it once more. After a few minutes, a real name popped up, Drew. Drew. Hi Jordan, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. Can you tell me what's happening? Me. There's a Wise camera inside a wall box. Pointed at the bed. I have photos and video. Drew, thank you. For your safety, do not touch or remove anything further. Are you currently safe? I looked at the door, then at the ceiling, then at the bathroom where the door didn't latch. I don't know. I typed, which is the most honest thing I've ever written. Drew asked for the evidence. I uploaded the photos in the chat. The removed cover, the lens angle, the Wise label, the Wi-Fi list showing Camille 3FCM. I included a screenshot of Camille's earlier message about not covering smart devices. I added timestamps by sending the camera roll view with the time visible. While Drew reviewed, Camille sent another message that sounded like a teacher catching a kid cheating. Jordan, please confirm you did not remove any equipment. It's part of compliance. Compliance again. Like she'd rehearsed the word. Priya whispered, that's legal language. She's building a story. That's when the mini twist landed. This wasn't random creepiness. This was a system. I opened my Wi-Fi list again and scrolled. There were 3 networks, all similar. Camille 2B CM, Camille 3F CM, and Camille 3F CM 5G. Not a guest network. Camera networks. Plural. Drew came back a minute later. Drew. Jordan, have you noticed any other recording devices in the unit? My eyes snapped to the smoke detector's dark ring, and my stomach turned. Drew offered me 2 options in that painfully calm corporate tone. We can assist you with relocation, or we can open an investigation. The way he said it made it sound like I could pick one, like ordering from a menu. Me? If I leave right now, do I lose the money? Drew. I can't guarantee outcomes, but hidden recording devices violate our policies. Policies. Not laws. Not safety. Policies. Priya cut in over speakerphone, voice low. Jordan, your money is already gone if something happens to you. She was right. And also, my brain kept clinging to the practical. My company reimbursement required a completed stay and a clean receipt. If Airbnb labeled this a guest cancellation, I'd eat the cost. I looked around the studio and suddenly saw it like a hostile witness would. Every scuff mark could become damage. Every speck of dust could become uncleanliness. Camille's manual had a whole page on post-stay inspection, with a $250 deep cleaning fee for excessive mess. Priya said, pack. Film everything. You can fight with proof later. So I did the most boring survival thing imaginable. I opened my camera and started recording, slowly panning across the unit like I was making a real estate video. 10:41 p.m. I narrated, voice shaky. Unit condition before exit. I zoomed in on the untouched bed, the unbroken seals on the granola bars, the clean sink, the thermostat, the closet sticker. I filmed the camera in the wall box without touching it. Then I aimed at the smoke detector's dark ring and stood on the chair again. I didn't remove it. I just angled my phone light across it. A tiny glassy circle caught the beam for half a second, like a lens hiding inside the plastic. My throat tightened. Priya, I said, barely audible. I think there's another one. Jordan, Drew typed. If you feel unsafe, leave immediately and go somewhere public. That was the decision point. Stay and gather more proof, or get out while I still could. I zipped my suitcase, grabbed my laptop, and reached for the door handle. That's when I heard the keypad outside beep once, like someone entering a code. The keypad beeped again, faster this time, like the person outside was correcting a mistake. I hit record on my phone and held it low, camera aimed at the door. My suitcase sat by my feet. My laptop was in my backpack. I slid the chain latch into place even though I knew chains are basically decorative against anyone determined. A soft click. Then the handle pressed down. The door didn't open because of the chain, but it moved a full inch, enough to spill a slice of hallway light across the floor. I saw a hand, light skin, manicured nails, wrap the edge of the door and pull. The chain snapped taut. Jordan, a woman's voice said, bright and calm, like we were meeting for brunch. Hey, it's Camille. My blood went hot. Why are you here? I called back, trying to keep my voice steady. I got an alert the router went offline, she said. I just need to check it. You're totally fine. Don't be stressed. Alert. The router went offline, which meant she was monitoring it in real time, which meant she'd watch me open the box. Priya whispered through the speakerphone, do not open that door. Camille tried the chain again. Jordan, I'm going to have to report tampering if you don't cooperate. There it was, the counter move forming. Make me the problem. I typed to Drew with shaking thumbs. Host is outside my door, trying to enter. I hit send. Drew replied almost instantly. Are you able to leave safely? Go to a public location. Call local emergency services if threatened. Camille's voice dropped, colder. We can do this the easy way. Open up. Then I heard another voice in the hallway, male and impatient. Cam, just use the... Camille cut him off, sweet again. Jordan, please. That was my cue. While they were focused on the chain, I grabbed my bag and suitcase and moved quietly to the far corner, where the door's shadow wouldn't show my feet. I waited until the hallway went silent for 2 full seconds. Then I yanked the door open against the chain, slipped out sideways, and bolted toward the stairs. As I hit the second-floor landing, I looked back and saw Camille watching me run. I didn't stop running until I hit the lobby. The front desk was empty, just flyers and a bowl of cheap mints. I pushed through the glass door and kept going, crossing the street to the coffee shop like it was sanctuary. Inside, it smelled like espresso and warm milk. People typed on laptops, laughed softly, lived normal lives. I sank into a corner booth, suitcase between my knees, and finally let my hands shake. Priya stayed on the line. You're okay? She kept repeating, like a spell. My phone lit up with Camille. 10:53 p.m. Camille, Jordan, you are in violation of house rules. 10:54 p.m. Camille, you tampered with compliance equipment. 10:55 p.m. Camille, if you do not return immediately, I will report you. I screenshot each one, making sure the timestamps were visible. Then another message, longer, carefully worded. Removing or disabling safety devices is a serious issue. The building has cameras. Please come back so we can resolve this calmly. Resolve this calmly. Like she hadn't just tried to force her way in. Drew called through the Airbnb app. His voice was polite, but tighter now. Jordan, your host claims the Wi-Fi equipment went offline and that you removed a device, he said. She's requesting reimbursement for damages. I didn't remove anything, I said, too loud. A barista glanced at me. I lowered my voice. There's a camera. 2. One is aimed at the bed. We received your images, Drew said. Thank you. We're escalating. I could hear keyboard clicks. Somewhere, Camille was also typing, also building her story. Then Camille called my actual phone, an unknown number. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail anyway, and I saved it like it was radioactive. Her voice was syrupy. Jordan, honey, this is getting out of hand. If you just delete the photos and come back, I can refund you personally. Priya made a sound like a growl. That's bribery. Keep it. A new notification popped up from Airbnb. Your host has submitted a claim. Drew's next message arrived with an attachment icon, and my chest went tight. Drew's attachment was a host claim summary, and reading it felt like getting punched politely. Camille said I had disabled an air quality monitoring device, violated building policy, and fled the unit. She requested $600 for equipment replacement and $250 for deep cleaning. One line described me as agitated and unsafe. Priya whispered, "She's trying to make you sound unstable." Drew stayed measured. "Jordan, I'm escalating this to trust and safety. In the meantime, do you have a safe place to stay tonight?" "I'm in a coffee shop," I said. "I just need my stuff from the unit." "Do not return alone," Drew said. "If you feel threatened, contact local authorities." So I did. Not 911. The non-emergency line. I kept my voice steady and boring on purpose. "Hi," I said. "I think there are hidden cameras in a rental unit, and the host tried to enter while I was inside." 20 minutes later, Officer Reyes walked into the coffee shop, tall, calm, eyes scanning like he'd seen every flavor of chaos. He listened while I played Camille's voicemail and showed him the photos, the WISE label, the Wi-Fi networks, the timestamps. Reyes nodded once. "You did the right thing by leaving," he said. "We can do a civil standby while you retrieve your belongings. We'll document what we see." We went back to the building together. The hallway cameras were still there, staring. At Unit 3F, Reyes stood to the side while I unlocked the keypad. The door opened like nothing had ever happened. Inside, the studio looked the same, except the router box cover was back on. My stomach flipped. "I didn't put that back," I said. Reyes's tone stayed flat. "Okay." I pointed at the closet with the owner access only sticker. "That wasn't in the listing." Reyes examined the hasp. "You have a key?" "No." He clicked on his flashlight. "We're not forcing anything," he said. "But if it's unlocked, I'm documenting what's inside." I held my breath as he tugged the closet handle, and it opened with almost no resistance. Inside were shelves, neatly organized, and a stack of small black memory cards in plastic cases. Each case had a label with a date and a unit number. Officer Reyes photographed the closet contents without touching anything. He also filmed the router box after we removed the cover again, this time with a neutral third party narrating what he saw. The camera lens stared back like an eye that didn't blink. "We're documenting," Reyes said. "Then you're leaving." I grabbed my laptop, charger, and suitcase, hands moving too fast. I kept expecting Camille to appear in the hallway with that calm smile, like I was the one overreacting. She didn't show. That almost made it worse. Drew messaged while I was still in the stairwell. "We have canceled your reservation and are arranging alternate accommodations." Relief hit so hard it made me dizzy. Then the second line arrived. "Drew, your host has updated the claim." At 12:17 a.m., Camille submitted a new request. $850 for smoke remediation, $300 for broken safety equipment, and $200 for lost revenue due to guest behavior. Total, $1,350. The exact amount I'd paid. Priya read over my shoulder on FaceTime. "She's trying to zero you out." Then Camille sent me a direct message in the app, and it wasn't sweet anymore. "If you post lies, I will share your ID and report you for theft." My stomach dropped. She had my ID because she'd asked for it for verification, and I'd sent it like a compliant little idiot. "Save that," Priya said. "That's a threat." I screenshot it with the timestamp and immediately emailed it to myself and to Drew in the support thread. I attached Camille's voicemail too. I wrote one sentence. "Host offered refund if I delete evidence." That's when I realized how quickly this could bleed into my real life. My employer's reimbursement team asked for incident reports when things got weird. My boss asked why I was messaging at 1:02 a.m. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I imagined Camille Googling my name, finding my LinkedIn, spinning some story about unstable guest damages property. At 1:19 a.m., another notification popped up. Account under review for host safety report. Then the app locked me out and asked for a statement. Airbnb put me in a hotel 15 minutes away, the kind with a lobby that smelled like carpet shampoo and a night clerk who didn't ask questions. I stood under the shower for a long time, letting hot water hit the back of my neck like it could rinse the adrenaline out. At 8:06 a.m., Drew messaged, "Trust and Safety has temporarily suspended the listing while we investigate." At 9:22 a.m., "We will refund your stay in full." At 10:14 a.m., "The host claim has been removed." Each line felt like someone loosening a belt around my ribs. I should have felt victory. Mostly I felt sick. Priya came over to the hotel because she's the kind of friend who will drive across a city for your nervous system. We sat on the edge of the bed, my laptop open, my evidence folder on the screen like homework. I keep thinking, I said, voice cracking, that if I'd just ignored it, I could have slept. I could have finished my proposal. None of this would have happened. Priya looked at me like I'd said something dangerous. Jordan, she said, if you ignore it, it still happens. It just happens to you quietly. I stared at the receipts in my email, $1 for 87.62 charged, then a refund confirmation number. The screenshot of Camille threatening to share my ID. The clip of the camera inside the wall box. It all felt like proof of something I didn't want to be true, that my politeness had been a tool someone else could grab. I admitted the worst part out loud. I sent her my ID. I wanted to be easy. Priya nodded. You were trained to be easy. Work, life, whatever. But easy is not the same as safe. That afternoon, Officer Reyes called to confirm he'd forwarded his documentation to the appropriate unit and that I might be contacted for a formal statement. He didn't promise outcomes. He just said, you did the right steps, and it made my throat tighten all over again. By evening, the adrenaline crash hit. I couldn't stop replaying Camille's voice outside my door. Calm, certain, like she owned the hallway and the story. I thought the ordeal was over until my phone buzzed with a new message request on social media. It was from someone I didn't know. Were you in Camille's Unit 3F? I replied to the stranger with one careful sentence. Yes, why? My hands were steady this time, because the panic had burned down into something colder. They sent back a screenshot of their own Airbnb chat with Camille, dated 3 months earlier. Same tone, same compliance language, same request for ID. Then a photo of a different vented box above their TV. I thought it was a router, they wrote. I felt weird, but I convinced myself I was paranoid. That message snapped the shame off me like a brittle twig. This wasn't me being dramatic. This was a pattern, and I just happened to trip over it while I still had enough energy to fight. So I did the last uncomfortable thing. I wrote it up, Reddit style, with the facts. Times. Amounts. What I saw. What I did. I posted only what I could prove and blurred my own info. I sent the same write-up to Airbnb Trust and Safety, and I forwarded it to the building's leasing office using the contact email on the lobby flyer. I didn't make threats. I just made it impossible to pretend it wasn't happening. And then I stopped trying to be easy. Here's the life lesson I didn't want. Your instincts are data, and documentation is protection. If someone profits from your confusion, they will weaponize your politeness. If you ever book an Airbnb or any short-term rental, this is my checklist now. Keep everything in-app. No off-platform calls unless you record your own notes right after. Never send your ID to a host. Airbnb verification exists for a reason. The moment something feels off, start a paper trail. Screenshots with timestamps, photos, short videos. Check the Wi-Fi list. Weird networks with CAM, NVR, or multiple unit numbers are a red flag. Look for rules that demand silence. Don't talk to neighbors. Keep blinds open. Don't cover devices. If someone shows up unannounced, don't open the door. Loop in support. Go public. Go safe. Before you leave, film the unit condition so fake claims can't stick. I still finished my proposal, by the way. Not in that studio. In a boring hotel room with a deadbolt and a front desk that didn't need my compliance file. If a stay demands your silence, it isn't hospitality, it's control.